Alright. Is Last Epoch good now? Kind of. It's getting there. This patch is like a couple steps forward, a couple steps back. Everything in this list is... not everything, but most things in this list are things that have changed this patch. I'm not trying to list everything about the game every single time. It would just be like a 4-page long thing. So this is just what has changed in this patch. So pros, the woven echoes, which are the new like map types you can do with different rewards and objectives, are pretty cool, and they help make the endgame less monotonous. They're kind of like unique maps in PoE. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them just have like different rewards and stuff, but most of them are kind of like a unique map. And it really helps to break up the endgame from just doing regular monoliths. I think this fixes for me the really, really bad endgame. I think endgame is very tolerable now. I'd even go as far to say the systems themselves are pretty good, but I wouldn't say the execution's perfect yet. Weaver tree is pretty cool. It's like Atlas tree in PoE. Influence what you get in your maps. Some cool nodes like the node here where you can like put an item in and it influences what drops. Be more like that item. Stuff like that is really cool. You know, like all the shit I give Last Epoch, the one thing I have to give them is that they keep things very unique. They're certainly not like copying off of anything, which I think copying is good for most games, but they do good with their unique stuff for sure that other ARPGs don't have. So Uber Aberoth, I don't know if it's cool. I haven't done it. I haven't fought him yet. It's probably cool. But on the same note, he's probably the only difficult encounter in the entire game. So I don't know if that's pro. I mean, I guess it is. Kinda. Item radius pickup is increased. This is very good because in the previous patch, actually, picking up items was like really bad. It was like you had butterfingers. You'd like go grab something, but your hands are like lubed up and like you don't pick it up. And that's fixed now because of the item radius. Before you had to be like on top of the item, and you know the characters in this game move kind of janky and they're small icons. The text is small, so this is pretty rough. So the first thing I did in this on my Weaver tree is I blocked arenas because I hated them. But apparently, according to Twitch chat, if you do them, they're pretty good now, assuming you spec into the stuff on the tree. Echo objectives, like just regular objectives, not the woven echoes, are a bit better. I still don't like the patrolling one, but it's definitely more than tolerable now. Now you can turn off camera smoothing. So everybody, like, or maybe not everybody, but a lot of people complain about the game feeling floaty. This option went a big way towards making it feel less floaty. So, I mean, ironically, it's actually bugged right now. Every time you restart your game, you're gonna have to change it to on and then off again, or it doesn't work. But you can see here, here's with it off. Pretty crisp, right? For some reason, they really want you to use it, so it's always on by default, and you have to reset it every time you start the game. So this is what it looks like with on. It might be kind of hard to tell in the video, but like there's like a slight delay in your camera following your character, and I think it feels really bad. It really makes the game feel like 5 times less satisfying and bad and floaty and, you know. And then there's WASD. I haven't tried it. I've heard good things. Key and echo inventory tab, so that's nice. Now into the cons. Combat is still not satisfying for me, even with the camera smoothing off. Like, it's just not visceral enough. I don't know. What ends up happening for me is when I get to a point where my gear is all pretty good, and it's gonna take me at least a couple hours to many hours to getting my next upgrade, right? It becomes kind of like dreadful because the thing you're doing to get there is not satisfying, because for me, the animations and sound effects are bad. Nothing feels weighty and good. Like, you hit a monster and it's like you're hitting cardboard almost. The skill effects themselves, like Judgment is pretty good. A lot of skill effects themselves have come a long way, but that stuff is still not there yet. The game is way too easy. I'm actually at 500 corruption now, and I've still used a HP potion like a total of 3 times. Yeah. Now, what a lot of people are gonna say is, yeah, but you're using the best build, the best character. Well, yeah, if an entire character, it's not just this build, it's pretty much everything on Sentinel will be this tanky because its passives are like absurd and there's multiple buffs into it. And it's kind of worrying because this was intentional. As far as I know, none of it's like obscenely bugged like Warlock was last season, getting 100,000 ward really easily. This is just straight up intended, and the game pretty much ends at 500 corruption, because after this point you start hitting big diminishing returns on like loot from rarity and whatnot, as far as I know. So basically I've hit the end of the game minus Uber Aberoth, and there has been genuinely zero challenge. Now, yeah, people can say, just don't play this character. Well, to that I say, that makes no sense. The game is not easier or harder based on the character you choose. I mean, it is, but like, you have to rate it on the best thing. Because it's like, imagine in Mario, right? Yeah, you can not pick up the mushrooms and stay tiny all the time, but that makes no sense. It's not even just one build, it's the entire like Sentinel class trivializes the game, which is kind of crazy considering it's intended. But it's not this is not like a thing of, oh, just don't do it. Like, yeah, I mean, I could just not pick up the goddamn mushroom in Mario, but what the hell? That doesn't make sense. That's not an argument against how easy or hard the game is. That is you self-restricting yourself. Not a good design. And then, on a similar topic, some monsters do extreme amounts of damage compared to each other. There's like 2 things in the game. One actually might have been nerfed, I'm not sure, but there's some woven monster mod. I don't know what exactly it is. I don't know if it's a monster that does it or like one of their mods they get or the possession, but it causes these web circle things to appear on the ground and they kind of float around. It's the only thing that has damaged me so far, pretty much, and I have so much damage reduction that would have killed any other character. The consensus I've seen from Twitch chat and some people I know is that that's pretty much the only way most people die is from what I've seen, or like a DC or something, but that's a little different. There's a few other things. There's like the Covenant of Dominion guy that I don't know if he was nerfed, but he's really OP. But other than that, like every monster is a joke. Still similar topic here, power creeped. Gamma's power creeped like insane. It's probably the most power creep I've seen between a patch to the next patch. Absolutely mind-boggling. There's so much power creep, the entire game is trivialized now. And it wasn't a hard game before. By no means was this game hard. Before this patch, it was still one of the easiest ARPGs. Now it's like 10 times easier than the next one. There's various things like you're guaranteed your first exalted affix on your item. Makes you get your gear way faster. Insane idle creep, power creep there. There are a lot of different places, and the only thing to make up for it is one boss. Kind of weird. Kind of worrying. Because it is like, it's 100%, there's no bug here. In past seasons, I was like, okay, this really, really broken build is a bug. Not too alarming. But this season, it's like 100% intentional on the state of the game. Either that or they don't know math or something. Because it's really crazy. That you basically, at least on Sentinel, you just steamroll the entire game. I mean, maybe that's something people want, but not from me. I like a smooth progression. I like a smooth progression in a game where it kind of goes like this in terms of difficulty. Maybe add some spikes and whatnot through there. It doesn't have to be 100% smooth, but right now, Last Epoch is like this, and Uber Aberoth might be like that. I don't think it's don't think that's great. I'm not actually sure how hard Uber Aberoth is. I'm assuming it is pretty hard. And then, also on the topic of bosses, boss design is the absolute worst I've ever seen for Melee in any ARPG by a degree of like 10 times worse than the next game, which is PoE 2. And Melee in PoE 2 is really, 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 really bad. But in this game, it takes to the next level. I swear to God, like 3/4 of the bosses in the game will diarrhea some caustic ground on the ground, sit in their own AoE for like 5 seconds, and you cannot hit them in Melee. Like, you can't hit them. They just stand in their own AoE. There's nothing you can do. And I swear to God, more than half the bosses in this game do that. There's been so many bosses that I'm like, you know, if this character wasn't so insanely overpowered, it would be absolutely impossible on Melee. Because the boss just 24/7 stands in some kind of damage pool or something. It's absolutely insane. Online desync, semi-common. It's probably happened to me upwards of 20 times now. It is getting a little bit better after like launch day and stuff, but it still happens semi-often. Disconnecting from server leaves character in game sometimes so you can die, and hardcore from crashes and server problems. After PoE 2, it's going to be really hard for me to play any game, like including PoE 1. I guess the only other ARPG that actually saves you from a DC or like whatever is Torchlight. As far as I know. Every game should have like pausing. This leads here. Can't pause, like the game should pause if your connection drops for a second. That should be the industry standard. Needs additional filter options. Yeah, I want drop sounds, and I want to be able to choose icons that appear on the minimap. And there's some filter logic messed up, which basically I hide everything, right? And then this show underneath the hide will override the hide. So it should be like the things at the top get the most priority, right? Rules positioned higher in the list overrule those below them. Hiding is not overruling the show in this scenario, and it's kind of annoying. Loot lizards still spawn in stupid amounts, but I don't know if I got really, really lucky, or if they spawn more in campaigns still, or if they shadow nerf them since launch. Because as I've gotten further maps, they do feel like they show up less. But when I was leveling, I was still getting one like every other map and getting like loot lizard explosions, like 10 of them in one map. It was kind of crazy. I do not really, yeah, it could have just been luck or something, but I don't like loot lizards, and they said they made the loot lizards run less, but they definitely don't. I don't like loot lizards on every, like, screen. It's not bad once in a while, but chasing them like every zone is kind of annoying. Character sheet is lacking some stats I want to see. Still some major gameplay hindering bugs, like, for example, in the, at start of the league, I did, or it was in like Act 1, I get a weapon that's really good for me, and I accidentally drop it. I cannot loot it anymore because it's being hidden. I did not have a filter on. Yes, I pressed X or whatever the button is to hide the filter, show items, show all items, disable filter. It was gone. It disappeared. Well, it was there, I just couldn't pick it up. Yeah, can't pause online, I already kind of talked about that. Can't portal out of echoes and go back in. This isn't a huge deal. I mean, like, I can see the gameplay decision of it, but yeah, I don't know. I like the portal out, especially when I can't pause. Still has performance issues where I drop to less than 30 FPS occasionally. This has happened on like 5 PCs I played this game on. I'm on a Giga PC now, 4080 and 7800 X3D. It varies on your class. Like, for example, last patch, I haven't played Warlock this patch, but last patch, and since it was released, Warlock just absolutely tanks your FPS. So if anyone's playing Warlock, leave a comment if this is still happening, where you very often have less than 30 FPS or dip below some double-digit number, like 50 or whatever. So it definitely happens less on this class, but it's not Warlock, so I have a feeling it's due to that. I think it's mostly Warlock's problems. So it's definitely better for me this season, but I'm guessing it's mostly Warlock. And that's about it. Overall, like I said, game got a little bit better. So worse in some aspects, better in some. I would say the game is probably like a C+ now. If they fix the game not feeling satisfying, it goes to a B+. If they fix that and early progression, well, not early, all progression feeling meaningless because the game is too easy. I didn't even talk about the boss ward system. I do not like that. Balance the game properly. Do not use weird damage reductions or boss ward systems. Just balance it properly. So if combat is more satisfying, becomes more visceral, game goes to a B+. If they fix that and the progression stuff, it goes to an A+, and I think it rivals PoE 1.